Hi, I'm Don Carr, and today I've got some tips for how to use distortion pedals. Now, if you're just getting started with distortion pedals, this video is for you because I'm going to go through 3 different ways to use them and show you some concepts you can apply to any guitar, amp, and pedal combination. There are a lot of different pedals and different types of pedals that distort your guitar sound. I'm using the term distortion as kind of a catch-all, so these concepts apply to any pedal that's under this huge umbrella, whether it's gain, drive, boost, overdrive, fuzz, grit, dirt, whatever. A lot of the differences have to do with the sound and the amount of distortion the pedal generates, but the concepts are basically the same. Let's start with the Ibanez Tube Screamer, which is a pretty standard distortion pedal. So the first way is into a clean amp. Now, into a clean amp is the most obvious way to use a distortion pedal because you're adding a completely different sound to your existing setup. A good place to start is to put the gain and the tone controls halfway up and the volume all the way down. Play a chord with the pedal bypassed, engage the pedal, then turn it up until the volume matches the disengaged level. Then dial around and experiment, see what sounds good. The way a distortion pedal sounds has a lot to do with your guitar and amp combination. Different combinations are going to have different outcomes. It's not really an issue of good or bad, it's just what you want to achieve. The second way is into a distorted amp. So if you want to add some extra gain, sustain, or oomph to your already distorted guitar sound, a distortion pedal can give you more than just simply more. Since you have tone, gain, and volume controls, you're shaping the sound before it gets to the amp, which affects the way the amp's distortion reacts. For this, a good starting place is with the amp's gain on the lower end of the spectrum, maybe even lower than you'd normally use it. On the pedal, put the tone about half, the gain and volume about a quarter, and start by turning up the volume and see what it does. Then back it down and turn up the gain and see how it reacts. Blend the volume and gain to taste and dial across the tone control. You might find that higher gain settings might need lower tone settings. I'm using a guitar and amp combination that is generally pretty bright sounding. It's a Fender Stratocaster with single coil pickups into a Fender Blues Junior amp. So I'm using lower tone settings on the pedal overall. If you have a darker sounding guitar amp combination, or like if you're drop tuned and you're looking for more clarity and definition, you might find that you're using brighter EQ settings. The third way is stacking distortion pedals. You do this by using more than one pedal at a time. Now in this scenario, one distortion pedal feeds into the other and you have sort of a distortion stew that's a nice unique blend. It's easy for this to get out of control, so start with the gain and volume controls on the lower end of the spectrum. So we're back to a clean amp setting, and here's what that sounds like. I'm using a JHS Angry Charlie, which has a completely different sound than the Ibanez Tube Screamer I've been using to this point. That is one of the fun things about distortion pedals. So let's hear it by itself. Now let's add the Tube Screamer. You've got a lot more range of sounds with two pedals, so let me dial around on them and show you what it sounds like. Another great trick is swapping the order of the pedals. Now what I mean by that is which one's plugged into the other one. Now in the previous scenario, I had the Ibanez Tube Screamer plugged into the Angry Charlie and then the Angry Charlie going to the amp. Well, now I've swapped it. And what you're going to find out is that the second pedal, the last pedal in the chain, is the one that has the most influence over the sound. So you can swap your pedals and really go for something completely different. If you have a channel switching amp, you can do this same setup with one distortion pedal. Just set up one channel clean, one dirty, and use your pedal as the in-between sound that can also boost your dirty channel. Keep in mind that all these considerations are case by case. Always trust your ear and go with what sounds good. The more you experiment, the more you'll figure out not only what's possible, but what you prefer. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click here for more videos like this, or start at sweetwater.com for all your music instrument and pro audio needs.